Nelson is coming to share his testimony with us. Clap offering. Amen.
Good night, everyone. Praise the Lord. We're out here. We can gather out here together and praise the Lord. It's such a wonderful night to be able to encounter Jesus. And, to really just to start off, I just want to say, I truly would not be here if it wasn't for the grace of God. I wouldn't be standing here, talking to many of you. I wouldn't be able to look most of you in the eyes because there's several different things that has happened in my life that would have prevented me from even coming to just be here. But God said, I have a plan for you. I have chosen you, so I have to set myself apart from the world, and I have to follow Christ. And I have to act accordingly to how He wants me to be, not how the world wants me to be. And it's times like when you encounter, you can encounter Jesus, but a lot of us, what happens, every single one of us, right, we encounter death at some point. And sometimes those encounters with death may be very, very close, but it changes your perspective on everything around you. For example, for me, one of my testimonies is that there was one time where I was very, very young, and when I believe this was for my birthday, but I was going out and I was swimming in a pool area, and at that time I couldn't really swim good, but I was trying to stay in the shallow areas, and I was just swimming around, and then eventually I kind of just ended up slipping off the shallow area and jumping into the deep end of the pool, and I started drowning. I couldn't swim, and I was just drowning, and something that had came back to me was, there was a lesson that Mr. Crawford had taught us back in, SASAP, when I used to attend. He taught us a lesson about Peter, how Peter was drowning, and he didn't really say the whole Lord's Prayer when he was drowning. Actually, he said 3 simple words, which was, Lord, save me. And in that moment, Jesus came and saved him, pulled him up out of the water. And in that same moment, for me, those same words came back to mind, and I said the same exact thing, and what happened was, even though I was drowning, my mother, who told me on her side, she was gonna go down they were having a fishing event somewhere further away from the pool. And she said she was gonna go down to the fishing event and see what was going on there. She would have been completely out of sight from me and would not have heard when I was, struggling. And when I said that prayer, I said, Lord, save me. My mother came out of nowhere and she jumped in and took me out of that pool and saved my life. And that same day, I could have died at a young age. But God said, I have a plan for you. He has a plan for every single one of us. He has a genuine plan. He cares for every single one of us. And he saves those who calls out to him as well. And even if you don't necessarily call out to him by saying it aloud, even in your heart, even when you do it in your heart, because what the Bible tells us is that when we confess Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior and believe it within our heart as well, then we will be saved. And there's a big emphasis on the heart, because change happens within the heart, not just by talk, not just by saying simple things like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, but it's by the heart. The choices start with you inside. Right? And a second testimony I'd like to share too. It's a very simple one, but this also really changed a lot for me. It's when I was sick at one point, and you see, when I was going through this illness, I had went to the doctor. This was during the Easter, around this year. I was going to the doctor, and then the doctor told me, something that has to do with your appendix and this and that, whatever. And then the doctor was telling me, you're gonna have to do surgery to get this removed and whatnot, and all these different crazy things. And my mom was like, no, we're not gonna do surgery because there's no need to be doing surgery to take out all of this stuff and whatnot. And I spent 3 days in the hospital. I spent 3 days in the hospital. I was over the weekend and going on into the week. I came out the Monday, and when I came out the Monday, I ended up, I was still feeling bad, but I went home and I spent 3 more days at home. And what happened was, when I was at home, even though I was still feeling sick and I was still feeling like really, really bad, my stomach was hurting me a lot. I didn't know what to do. I was trying to take a lot of medicines and this and that. there was a moment where I was just home by myself. Well, not really home by myself. It was like I live with my aunt and my cousin, so they live upstairs from me, and I'm just on the bottom. And that day my mother wasn't home, and I was really sick. And then later on, coming into the night where my mom was coming home, she told me, "Okay, I'm coming back home. Do you need anything at all?" I told her, "No, not really. I was just there lying down on the floor itself." And I was talking to her and whatnot, and she asked me, "Do you want me to call your cousin to come and help you?" And I was like, No, don't call her. I didn't really want my cousin to come and help for whatever specific reason. And eventually, my mom heard me in more pain, and then she decided, I'm gonna call your cousin. So she called my cousin. My cousin came all the way from upstairs, downstairs, came to check on me, and she got there, and I was still going through a lot of pain. And this and that. She was trying her best to actually help me, but for some reason in my heart, I was rejecting that help. And that's something that a lot of people tend to do. We tend to reject the help that Christ has given us, and we tend to look at it and be like, no, I don't need that help. Not right now. But really, truly, what it is that it's the help is to make you better, make you feel better, help you get through whatever it is that you're getting through, not to put you down and make you feel bad, worse, or anything like that. And when she came down and helped me, like I was still rejecting it, and I was like thinking all these negative things towards her. I was thinking, I was like, I can't believe what she's doing. She's not doing the right thing. Oh, she's stupid and this and that and whatever. And when I had those thoughts, the pain inside of my stomach grew worse. It got to the point where I felt like my insides were gonna literally bleed or explode. And I ran over to the bathroom, and I was like, man, it hurts so bad. I just felt like I wanted to throw up blood. And in that moment, I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, please take this pain away from me. And what happened was, He brought back to my attention every last thought that I just had before I even prayed that prayer. He brought back to my attention the fact that I was actually putting down the efforts that my cousin was trying to do to help me to become better, to help me to get better. And then that's when I realized, like, I was kind of humble. I was like, wow, I was really doing this to someone who was trying to help me out, who was trying to make me become better, feel better and stuff like that. So eventually I got up. I was so weak that I couldn't even move from where I was, from the toilet. So I was like, I just wanted to throw up. But eventually I got up. But the little bit of strength that I had, came over to the living room area, sat down on the couch. And at that moment, I just said, you know what, I have to humble myself. I have to humble the pride in me that doesn't want to say, I'm sorry. So I said, you know what, Lord, I'm giving this up to you. I opened my mouth and I called my cousin by name. I said, Chelsea, I'm very, very sorry for the thoughts that I had towards you. And she's like, oh, no, don't worry. And this and that, don't worry. I'm just only trying to help you out. And I said, no, you don't understand. I said, I'm sorry for even calling you and thinking negatively towards you and even putting you down. And in that moment, she actually gave a response that was, to me, it was quite shocking, because it's the same response that Jesus would give any one of us. She told me to my face, she said, I don't really do this for because someone else asked me to. I'm doing this because I love you. And when I heard that, was like, I realized it was like, I basically encountered Jesus in such a miraculous way, because things like that helps you to realize, this is something that Jesus would do. And right as soon as she told me that, and as soon as I confessed, I basically confessed my sins to her, and I said, I'm sorry for doing this, and I told her, confessed it before her. And right after all of that, the pain that I had, everything, the sickness, all of it, just vanished, disappeared. I got up. When my mother came home, she was like, oh, how you doing? She thought I was still sick. And I started crying out of joy. I was like, Mom, I can move my leg. I can move around. I couldn't do half of the things I could do before when I was sick. And I was crying out of joy. I was crying out of complete joy, because I realized I'm healed. I was healed. And it was quite the experience. I genuinely couldn't believe it. I was telling my mom. She asked me, why are you crying so much? I was like, you don't understand. I literally just got healed from something that the doctors were telling me I would need surgery for, to take out something that God put in there for a reason. And they're telling us, oh, you don't need it. It doesn't have any use. But we all know that everything that God puts in us, it has some form of use. So nothing in our body is like, it doesn't have a use. Nothing in our body is just all there by mistake. It's all there for a purpose.
God speaks to us in a number of ways. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for that word. Put your hands together.